Today, we'll record the song from the previous episode. In case you missed it, the song's called Bye Bye. I wrote it because I couldn't stand having the same dream again and again, so it's about closure and moving on. You can check the full version here.
I need to thank you and forsake you, 'cause I want to move on. Bye bye.
I'm Pedro, and welcome to Highly Operational Musical Experiments. Here, I'll show you how I use music to process emotions so you can do the same.
Okay.
Grab a seat, make yourself at home, and let's find a way to make this song. The moment I finished writing the chorus for Bye Bye, I knew I didn't want the guitar to drive the song anymore. The demo feels too plain for me, and that's okay for that version. However, I wanted the real final track to groove. I hoped doing this would reinforce the positivity in the lyrics rather than wallow in the melodrama.
All right.
With that in mind, I decided to do the guide track on the organ instead of the guitar. As I set to record, I didn't know anything about the rest of the arrangement. I just closed my eyes and trusted that the flow and the instruments would tell me what to do.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Rusty tracks under my feet lead me back to shame. There's a break in my heartbeat when I recall your name.
The steady, grooveless backing track the organ gave me opened a new realm of possibilities. I was free to play the bass against the main melody and create the groove from the bottom up. Interestingly enough, in 15 years of recording, I had never started a song this way.
3, 4.
Rusty tracks under my feet lead me back to shame. There's a break in my heartbeat when I recall your name. 'Cause I wanted you to see me just because I couldn't see myself.
At this time, I knew I wanted to ditch the click track altogether, so I felt like recording the percussions next. Instantly, Baby Love by the Supremes came to my mind. If you don't know it, I'll leave a link for it in the description. The bit I wanted to incorporate into my track was the foot stomps from the intro. Upon recording, I realized the sound of feet related nicely to the first line of the song and general message of going away, saying goodbye. That was a happy accident. Like this little guy's visit. To layer the stomps, I used 3 different shoes. Flip-flops for the top end, sneakers for the mid-range, and boots for the bottom. Together they sound like this.
It's a subtle difference now, but later on in the mix, these details will be exaggerated to great effect.
Thank you, Enrique. Don't mind him, he's my producer. I arranged the stomps so they would play on the instrumental sections.
Bye bye.
Which worked well as a pun on walking away. I decided to follow within the Motown tradition and add some finger snaps over the click track. These for the verse,
Lead me back to shame.
these for the
Been a
chorus.
long night and I can't fight. I've got to let you go.
And since I was at it, why not a shaker in the bridge? At this point, I realized that this is kind of a long bridge.
Well, sometimes leaving the past behind requires crossing a long bridge.
Yes, thank you. Anyway, moving on to the drums, I decided to stay true to 60s fashion and recorded with 2 microphones. One for the kick, one for the overhead. This setup makes for a punchy sound and I like it a lot. However, this is still a modern recording, so I also wanted at least some stereo information from the kit. This made me add 2 microphones to capture the room. I used the preamps on my old Mackie desk to add some gentle distortion. I also used it to create a copy of all 4 mics and send them to an outboard compressor, which was then routed back to the interface along with the 4 microphones. The result is an extra channel with extra punch. While I was setting up the microphones, I was thinking of a drum pattern to use. I knew I wanted the kick drum to follow the bass in the verse, and I wanted the chorus to pop, so that was pretty straightforward. The bridge, however, wasn't clear. If I didn't change the pattern, the song would get boring fast. That's when I realized the lyrics in the bridge are the most nostalgic. What if I could represent that sonically? So I tried dividing the beat in half, creating more space between the snare hits. This creates a slow down effect that made sense to me and helped create some contrast between parts. The drum fills also made it feel like there's a story in progress, like we're building up to the climax. Now, let's get electric. I like to do my rhythm guitars plugged in the amplifier rather than straight into the computer. I like the dirty sound of electricity from the amp, especially this one, which has seen some roads and probably has a faulty tube. To mic it, I'll use a simple dynamic in the front. It's positioned in the midpoint between the center and the edge of the speaker. This tames some of the brightness from the guitar, but not all of it. Following the tradition established with the drums, I'll add a room mic here as well.
Just like in the drum recording, the room microphone is set to figure of 8 position. This means the microphone captures information from its front and back, but rejects the sides, in a pattern that resembles the number 8.
I set the amp so it gives me some drive, but not distortion. I know this amp so well I don't have to test how it sounds anymore. You'll hear what I mean in a minute. When it comes to electric guitars, as of now, I only have 2 options, so it's not a hard choice. I'm picking up the Rickenbacker 360 because it sounds sharper. Now's the time to get rid of the organ from the guide track so I can start filling the spectrum with the sounds I actually want. I feel it's important to leave some empty space in the arrangement so I can start hearing what's not there. This made me come up with 3 guitar parts for this song. 1 in the verse, a very simple 1-note pattern to steer the groove. The notes are low because I didn't want them to clash with the vocal melody. The second guitar is just this chord attack in the offbeat during the bridge. In the chorus, it plays the open chords. The last guitar is in the higher register, again to avoid the vocal melody. It plays a straight beat during the bridge and doubles the chords in the chorus an octave up.
Avoiding the vocal melody means creating space in the arrangement for the vocal to come through without competition. Thus, theoretically, if all parts played together at the same volume, you'd have no trouble picking apart the vocal from the rest. Of course, in the mix, the vocal will be a little louder than the band, but this technique ensures the vocal doesn't have to be too loud to be heard, which guarantees a better experience for the listener.
At this point, I felt like the chorus needed some movement in the top end. The shaker was doing a good job in the bridge, but the chorus still felt dull. To solve this, I decided to record my acoustic guitars. Since I had already gotten away from the demo, I thought adding some strumming to the chorus could help carry it forward instead of making it plain as it did in the demo. To record the guitars, I used 2 microphones, again in figure of 8, to create a stereo image. The first guitar is a 6-string in standard tuning with a capo on the 5th fret. The second is another 6-string, also with a capo on the 5th fret, but this time in Nashville tuning. That just means the top 4 strings sound an octave higher than usual. Together, they sound like this. Now that the guitars are done and I have a solid structural sound, it's time to add some depth to the whole thing. To do so, I'm looking for an organ sound to pair with the higher register Rickenbacker. I want them to complement each other sonically and harmonically. For the second run of the bridge, I wanted a haunting, high-octave organ sound in the back, straight from Dylan's Blonde on Blonde album. Hey, we're in the 60s anyway. The main organ still lacked depth for me. When it played long notes in the chorus, it felt too blunt and bright. I felt the need for a smoother sound in the same register that could sustain the song in a warm embrace. Also, to get a more organic sound, I decided to record the speakers on my piano. Using a stereo pair from a slight distance, I hope to get the distant stereo image and also some of the room sound. This is the synth by itself. This is the synth and the organ. Notice how it adds an ethereal quality to the organ. Cool. Now, the instrumental parts need some attention. Since I was at the keys and all mic'd up, I recorded this clavinate sound, also from my piano's library. It might need some tweaking in the mix, but it brought the characteristic punchy twang I wanted. To make it sound even better, let's get another guitar. I'll layer the clavinet with my Epiphone Casino, which has a deeper tone. I'll also add 2 fuzz pedals from Logic Pro's pedalboard plugin, turning it into a stereo guitar. Some adjustments to the amp, and we're rocking. By this point, I felt the snare hits in both bridges needed to sound bigger. I'll add some reverb to it in the mix, but that wouldn't be enough. I took a walk around the house and found an old electric heater with a metal grid and thought, what if? After some tests, I recorded 2 layers, one with a guitar pick and another with a plastic brush used for percussion. And that's how they sound together. To complete the percussion, I recorded 8 tracks of clapping in the second bridge, and a tambourine in the chorus and instrumental bits. By this point, I was fed up with the guide vocal. I knew I wanted the phrasings to be slightly different so the song would feel more upbeat. I'll let you listen to the final vocal later. For now, let's take a look at the background voices. For the bridges, I added a higher harmony to clarify the message and add weight to the vocal. Alright, second bridge now. Left side first.
'Cause I wanted you to love me just because I could not love myself.
I doubled it and moved on to the instrumentals, where my mind kept telling me there should be long, high notes saying bye, 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 bye. promise they won't sound as harsh on the final mix. With that done, I still wanted to add a little last-minute layer.
I'm hearing something really specific during the instrumental break. I know it feels like a bubbly synthesizer or something like that. Let's see if I can find it.
All right,
Okay.
now let's hear it with the vocal.
Excuse me, may I?
Yes?
Will you cut me off again?
No.
Thank you. A quick word about the mix before we go. What you're about to hear has been processed for your optimal listening experience. A few changes have been made to the recordings you've just witnessed. First, the heater was raised in pitch by 2 semitones to blend better with the arrangement. Second, a chorus effect was added to the acoustic guitars to create a more low-fidelity sound. And finally, the bye-bye vocals were processed heavily to sound like an extension of the organ. Bye, bye,
Thank you, Enrique. Like I said, let's hear it with the vocal now. I like my vocals to be a performance, meaning I record them straight through, and if I make a mistake or it doesn't sound the way I want it to, I do another take. This vocal is take 7.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Rusty tracks under my feet lead me back to shame. There's a break in my heartbeat when I recall your name. 'Cause I wanted you to see me just because I couldn't see myself. And now your shadow comes a whistling, so I must find a way to break this spell. It's been a long night and I can't fight. I've got to let you go. I need to thank you and forsake you, 'cause I want to move on. Bye bye. I see us back in the schoolyard, a ribbon in your hair. And though the words would flood my heart, I just could never share. 'Cause I wanted you to love me just because I could not love myself. And now your ghost comes back a-knocking, but I've grown that young boy's this
Oh boy, they grow so fast. Thank you for taking this journey with me. As of now, Bye Bye is available for streaming anywhere you listen to music. Tell me, what's your favorite sound in this song? To me, it's the drums. I didn't think they would sound so full with just a couple of mics. It's amazing how even in the processes we've done 1,000 times, there's always something new we can explore, if we're willing to. I hope this was helpful, or at least fun for you. My goal with this channel is to help you unlock your creative potential. I believe self-expression is freedom, and I intend to spark the world's creativity so we all may find this freedom within us. So play, test new things, have fun, and please subscribe. I'll be back here in a couple of weeks so we can write another song. See you then!